Hey everybody, it's your pal Mike Zombie, and this week we're going to talk about The Revenant from 2009, a film that kind of just crossed my radar but has won a shitload of awards. It's getting a deserved 6.4 star rating out of 10 on IMDb, and the synopsis is: in Los Angeles, a fallen soldier who has joined the ranks of the living dead reunites with his best friend in order to deal with the city's drug dealers and killers, a perfect way to collect the blood that one of them so desperately needs. This movie, to me, I just finished watching it probably 15 minutes ago, maybe 20 minutes ago. And I had to watch this over the course of 2 nights because I've been working late and having to get up really early to go to work and just trying to get everything done, meet my obligations to you guys. So this sadly required a 2-night watch, though I was liking it so much I really hated to stop watching it last night. But hey, guys got to do what a guy's got to do. In retrospect, this movie satisfies the horror comedy, dark comedy area that was filled in me by Cemetery Man many years ago. The same real dark humor. I wanted to feel this from Deadheads, but I didn't. I kind of felt a little bit of it in Cockneys versus Zombies, but that to me took more of a Shaun of the Dead kind of approach. But this would be maybe a nice blend of Shaun of the Dead and Cemetery Man kind of put together, with the exception that in both of those movies you never really had the gravity that pulled you out of the comedy and made you stop and think, wow, that was really fucked up, or that was a really heavy scene. This film did that 3 or 4 times. In the middle of just great comedy, brought it down to a moment where you kind of stop laughing and go, oh, wait a minute, fuck, this isn't funny. This is actually really sad. And I thought that was the brilliance of this film, the way it worked. It's about Bart Gregory. He's a soldier who's serving in the army, has an accident, and loses his life just trying to make sure that a child didn't lose his. So we know he's a good guy. And I'm really walking a fine line of trying not to ruin this film for you, because I'm going to recommend very much that you see this. So I don't want to fuck it up. I want you to discover a lot of the funny parts and good touching parts that I pulled out of this film for myself. But he dies, is brought back to the States, and be damned if he doesn't wake up as he's been buried, but they haven't shoveled the dirt on him. The crew took the night off, and his casket, this would never happen. As someone who's worked in the funeral industry, I can assure you this would not happen this way. Maybe out in the middle of nowhere, but in Southern California, at any one of our local cemeteries, this would not happen this way. To where the backhoe is set up, the casket is in the ground, they haven't put the vault on top yet, but there's a big pile of dirt, and everybody kind of goes, well, it's getting late, let's go home. We'll do this tomorrow. That would never happen. But to make this movie work, it kind of has to, because he won't be able to crawl his way out under several hundred pounds of dirt. Can't happen. But he wakes up, and he doesn't know where he is at first. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know he's dead. And then breaks in, I guess, to the mortuary, because it's just a building in front of him, because he's confused, he's dizzy. And he looks in the mirror and sees the face of a dead man, and his lips are sewn shut. And not to dive too much into my past working at the mortuary, but they don't sew lips together anymore. It just takes too much time. If the mouth doesn't want to close, it's not uncommon to use crazy glue further back into the lips so you don't see that it's glued. But in some circumstances, what they'll do, I've seen this done, they'll actually run I hate to call it a cord, but it's bigger than a thread. Maybe fishing line would be a little bit better. They'll actually run it through the little flap of skin that connects your front teeth to your lips. That little bit of skin there that bridges the gap. They'll run it through there, up through the meat between your upper teeth and the bridge of your nose. They'll run it through there, straight up through the hole in your nostril. Sorry, the hole in your nose. Ooh, your nostril. And they'll tie a knot and tuck it down. They'll tighten it. They'll pull it tight so your mouth goes and closes. And they'll tie the knot. My embalming friend Kevin that I used to assist with, I've seen him do that a few times. And I believe I asked, and he was like, well, this is just for the really hard cases where the mouth won't stay shut, because you can't have a funeral where someone's mouth is gaping open. Not even a little, because it would really upset people. So you either crazy glue or you stitch and pull it tight. So them sewing his lips shut just simply wouldn't happen. But it made for a neat effect. effect as he had to cut his own lips open so he could scream basically, "What the fuck is wrong with me?" But he sees in his face the eyes of a dead man, the face of a dead man. So what do? What would you do in that situation? You suddenly wake up and you're dead. And once you've realized that you're in maybe your hometown in the middle of the night, what would you do? Well, he goes to his best friend's house because he's not quite sure what's going on. He thinks he's dreaming. And it kicks off 3 different movies. A very funny buddy pal movie where friends can overcome even the weirdest of shit, especially if they're guys, because guys, you'll kick your best friend in the nuts and knock him down. He'll get up and do the same to you, and you guys, after you get done gasping for air, will just start laughing. That's what guys do when you're best friends, not when you're casual friends. And that's what these guys are, best friends. And they can overlook the death and the weirdness of what happened and having to say goodbye to your best friend to suddenly having him back completely differently. So we have the funny movie. It's kind of where we hoped that, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost would have maybe done at the end of Shaun of the Dead. But this isn't a incoherent, like Nick Frost was in real bad shape. He was just drooling, and that's not the case here. Bart's lucid. He's very coherent. He knows who he is and what's going on, and he minus the fact that he's rotting and can't seem to die. He's the same old guy he always was. We've got that buddy movie going on. It takes a really funny, excellent, and exciting vigilante turn because Bart needs blood to stay alive. He doesn't want food he actually craves to kind of eat food because it's out of habit, and he drinks a lot of alcohol, but his body rejects most everything except blood. So he needs blood. But he's not a killer by nature. He showed that in the beginning, that he was a man with a decent heart. So who better to pluck from society to kill and drink their blood than the dregs, than the criminals, than the gangbangers, which makes for an interesting film. Really funny and exciting. And when it took that turn, I started to enjoy this movie fivefold. I really did. And then we have the dying love story, because there's a lot going on. As he dies and comes back, his world says goodbye to him as far as friends and family, and their hearts break and they say goodbye. And he comes back, and a few people find out and have to set aside that anguish, but still live it and forge a new relationship with him. And some people sadly can't bridge that gap and have to say goodbye again and again. This was a fairly long movie, but I really, really did enjoy it. If it's on Xbox Live, I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to buy it tonight. Well, not tomorrow. I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed here. It did honestly lose its way a little bit towards the end, maybe the last 15 minutes or so. It kind of strays away from what it was trying to do and gets a bit chaotic, and it ends kind of weird. But a lot of messages come out of this thing. To me, it's pro and anti-war, which is interesting. It's not a push. It's making people come to the realization of, am I a bad person because I'm cheering for bad people dying? Does it make me a bad man? Is death okay? Is murder okay when you're murdering, let's say, a murderer? If I interrupt someone being executed, that came out weird. A lot of this could be up for debate, right versus wrong versus where is the line of okay in a lot of these situations. I don't want to fuck this up, so I'm going to kind of cut it here. Suffice to say, I really did enjoy The Revenant. I watched the trailer and I kind of laughed. And I thought, well, that looks interesting. And it was much more than interesting. It was gross. It was gory. It was funny. I had a couple of really hearty laughs where I'm like, okay, that was good. And a few moments where I stopped and kind of identified and said, fuck, that's actually really deep. And maybe it's because I've had people really close to me die right in front of me. It might be. I don't know. But this makes me think there's still hope for zombie movies. This is not edit out the just stupid wandering edit. I'm not sure if this is going to become a cult classic, but it's one of the most thoughtful and really well-written zombie movies I've seen in some time. And of course, this is 4 years old. And there's been some good stuff since then. The Dead, obviously, one of my all-time favorites. Cockneys versus Zombies was really funny, and I really did enjoy that too. But this goes back to 2009, and this is probably one of the best zombie films I've seen in about a year. Then again, and I've watched a lot of shit that I knew was just going to be garbage. The production value on this film was really good. Money was put into this. I'm not even sure who made it, to be honest. It was all filmed here in Los Angeles. I recognized a lot of these places. In fact, I work in a lot of these areas where these killings went on. There were a couple of obvious fuck-ups. One, I don't know if anybody else caught. Some did. I looked on IMDb, and someone says, because they have the zombie whited over dead eyes, and I don't believe them to be contacts. I think it's all CGI, because there's a spot early on where there's a really large blurb under one of these guys' eyes where it almost looks like a vortex, and I'm like, okay, that was just an artifact or something going weird. But someone noticed in the scene they're wearing sunglasses, and you can see their pupils and their eyes clearly behind the sunglasses, but any other time it would be whited over, almost completely gone. There's a scene, if you watch this, look for it, because I didn't see anyone else mention this online, where Bart, very near the end of the film, is coming up out of the subway, and he's going to have a little to-do with the LAPD, and as he hits the top of the stairs, there's a very nice shot of his face for a couple of seconds where his eyes are perfectly normal. And then they suddenly flash, he's got whited over eyes because someone went, oh shit, yeah, we gotta do these eyes up here. Production value was good, the writing was very nice, and the acting was fantastic. David Anders and Chris Wilde were just a treat to watch. These guys played off each other well, and that's what bugs me, is when when you buy someone's friendship so easily in a film, when they really seem like best friends to you, and you know that outside of this film they don't talk, they don't even know each other, they were just co-stars. That bugs me. I want to think these people hang out after the movie. They really do drink and party and all the same shit that we see them do, but of course that's usually not the case. This film, as applied to the Bradinsky rating scale, the thing that McPierce likes to bring up for breakfast, is he at IHOP with his fucking family putting the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity, the fucking Bradinsky breakfast scale? On the Bradinsky breakfast scale, the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity is a He brought that shit up on Zombie Mob the other night. Tom, I don't know what you've done to capture the heart of young Daryl Pierce, but he works you into everything. And I will say, I got a film here, a DVD in my hot little hand that you guys may or may not have realized I've never reviewed. And that's the Italian zombie movie parts 1 and 2. Well, Tom, the man who conceptualized and made that film, the director, writer, craft serviceman, transportation director, and the gopher, Tom Bradinsky is a friend of the show. He's a very nice guy, and I have his movie right here, and I've purposefully never reviewed it because I was always worried that people are going to say, well, of course you're going to love it because he's a friend of the show and you don't want to piss off. I don't give a fuck who I piss off. I really don't. You know, it's never been that I've been worried about offending people. So I'm going to announce right now that for episode 200, the biggie coming up, I'm going to review 2 films. I guess 3. I'm going to review the double feature, the Italian zombie film 1 and 2, because I never did. I've had it. It's sitting here. It's been begging for me to do it. And I'm also going to review a movie you guys suggest. I'm going to throw this at Daryl and see if he's willing to do 2 as well for a super double episode for number 200. I don't see why not. I've been wanting to do this one. Kind of held off on it. Just out of, I don't want to catch shit from listeners, but, oh, you're just kissing Tom's ass. I'm not going to kiss Tom's ass because he's a friend of the show. I will kiss his ass because he may use me in a future movie. That might be Tom. I'm doing voiceover work now for film, so I would love to help you out with anything you need. Let me know. No, but seriously, I'm going to review this for 200 plus another film of your choosing. So again, still email the show, still call the hotline, let us know the films you want us to review. It'll get done. Anyways, I got to go to bed. So The Revenant from 2009 on the Bradinsky scale. This is a buy. Oh, did I say a buy? Fuck yeah, I did. Good film. I really did enjoy this. And there would be a buy for zombie fans. Like my friend Ron Engel, I grew up with this guy. we were kind of going back and forth the other day. He's like, Mike, I'm looking for a horror film, but I'm just not into zombie movies. What do you have for me? So I hooked him up with some nice Asian slasher films. So, again, this isn't for everybody. But if you're into zombie films, go ahead and take a chance on buying The Revenant from 2009. Even if it's like just on like digital download, check it out. It's worth your time. Good film, good film. I mean, last 15 minutes kind of got askew, but it still ended interesting. The very last closing scenes were pretty thought-provoking. Still, very enjoyable film. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you in 7 days.